Hi players, bonjour from Geneva, my name is Asaf and welcome to my channel Easy Board Games. Today I'm going to have for you a playthrough for Ironwood that was published by Mindclash Games. Before getting started, I just want to say thank you for Mindclash Games for supplying me this copy of the game so I could do this playthrough for you. As always, if you learned something new or saw something that you like, consider subscribing to the channel, like and comment on the video. Those are all absolutely free things that you can do that are going to help me a lot. Ready to see how it goes? Let's get to it. Alright guys, so let's start with talking about everything that you can see on your screen right now, starting with the main board that is already set up according to what we can find in the rulebook. We have the deployment of the fighters for both of the sides. We have the Ironclad, of course, that are going to have 3 fighters in any one of the inner mountains, and we have 1 fighter and 1 drill in the mountain that is in the center. Now, I'm going to tell it right now, and I apologize for the rest of the video. I have no idea how to pronounce the names that we have on the board, so I apologize for that. So the mountain in the middle is called Ferum, and we already know that we have 1 forge in there. That is a built-in forge that is already marked on the board. For the Woodwalkers, we have basically 2 fighters in any one of the outer forests, and in general, how the board is built is that we have outer forests, that is all the areas that are a little bit darker, and we have all the inner forests that are of course a little bit lighter. For the mountains themselves, so as we said, we have Ferum, then we have the inner mountains, and we have the outer mountains, which we're going to talk about later because they correspond to the victory condition of the Ironclad. Moving on to the side of the board, we have the general supply of crystals and markers, and now we're going to talk about the 2 players that we have. So of course we have the Woodwalkers, which are the player to the left. With the setup, we're going to draw 1 vision card that correspond to one of the inner mountains. Then the rest of the 3 cards we're going to simply shuffle with the rest of the vision cards. Then we have the deck itself. We have some supply of the totems and also the other fighters. And each player basically is going to start with 3 basic cards. Those are the cards that you can see with the star in the middle. Now, your copy might have different cards just because I'm using the promo pack that Mindclash gave me basically in the last UKGE. So maybe the art and the names are going to be a little bit different, but in any case, everything that we can see on the card, the different effects, are going to stay the same, of course. Moving on to the Ironclad, we have on the board, as you can see, 5 Forges tokens, also 3 Golems and the rest of the fighters. Again, we're going to have 3 basic cards. Also for the drill itself, we have 1 marker that is going to start on the leftmost position. So in general, Ironwood is a war game between 2 players, 1 versus 1. One of them is going to be the Woodwalkers, the other one is going to be the Ironclad. And in this game, we're going to have a series of rounds, and each one of these rounds consists of 3 phases. The preparation phase is the first one, where the Woodwalkers are going to take 1 crystal. This is why you can see it already on their board. And the Ironclad are going to have 2 of these crystals. Again, what you can see on your board right now. Both of their decks are going to be shuffled, and from those decks, each player is going to draw 2 cards. Those are the cards that we can see right now that are flipped face down. So now that we covered that, we can flip them face up. And let me tell you right in advance that obviously all the cards, unless we were told to show them to the other player, I'm talking about the vision cards, are going to stay hidden from the other player, of course. So these cards are basically supposed to be in the hands of the player, but I do want you to understand a little bit better maybe what am I doing and what each player has right now in their hands. So just for the sake of the playthrough, I'm going to keep the cards face up. Now, before we're moving on to the second phase, we have 2 types of cards. So as I said, we have the basic cards, and all the rest of the cards are going to be considered special cards. We have also the vision cards that we're going to talk about a little bit later, but in terms of terminology, basic cards, special cards, and we're moving on. The second phase is the action phase, and this is where players are going to, by turn order, and turn order I mean that all the time the Woodwalkers are going to be first in this game. So each player is going to take 1 of their cards, they're going to play, they're going to resolve whatever we have on the card from top to bottom, unless they want to completely forfeit 1 of the effects that we have over there. Then they're going to place the card below their player player board. Now, if there is a situation where you don't want to play a card, there's absolutely no problem. You can skip your turn by taking a marker and placing it below one of the corresponding spaces of the player board, and instead of performing your action, you're just going to draw one special card. It's a little bit more of a rare thing that happens in this game, but it is an option, so I guess it's good that you know it as well. After each player has played 3 cards, we're going to have the round end phase, where we're going to discard some cards if we need to. Then we have a totem that might be fading. Again, everything we're going to see in the playthrough itself. Then we'll be able to recruit some fighters for the price of 2 crystals per fighter. And whenever we recruit fighters for the woodwalkers, those are going to be placed in one of the outer forests. And for the ironclad, you'll be able to recruit fighters and place them in one of the forges that you either manage to build on the map, or again in film, that is a forge that is always going to be there. In terms of winning condition, for the woodwalkers, they will need to secure 3 totems on their board, and for the ironclad, they will need to build 3 forges that basically, first of all, you need to place the foundation, then you will kind of upgrade it or build on top of it forges. So if the ironclad managed to build 3 forges on the outer mountains, or the woodwalkers are going to secure 3 totems on their board, then the game is immediately finished, and that's it. We concluded it. So with that, you guys, let me dive in directly into this playthrough. Not before, of course, reminding you that, like with all of my playthroughs, I'm not here to give you any kind of strategy advice. So you might see me take some weird decisions or making some silly moves. I don't care about that. I only care that you understand the flow of the game, and I will try to concentrate on the main aspect that we have in Ironwood. Those are the movement, the combat, how does it go, playing the different cards, of course building the foundations and the forges, and also retrieving the totems with the vision cards. So the first action that I'm going to do with the woodwalkers is playing this card that right now with the special promo pack is called Gulwin's Hunt. Okay, not sure that I'm pronouncing correctly, but I already apologize, so I'm sorry about that. And we can resolve one of the following, or spend 2 crystals in order to resolve 2. Obviously, we do not have 2 crystals, so we need to choose one of them. So I'm going to choose to move 5 of my fighters, and this is where I'm going to start explaining a little bit better. Now, for movement, what we can do is to move the different fighters, and pay attention that in 99% of cases, for the woodwalkers, they're going to move their fighters individually, which is going to be a little bit different for the ironclad because they're moving in war bands. So every fighter can move, again, this is in general because we do have some exceptions, can move only 1 time per turn. So even though I can move right now 5 fighters, I will not be able to move, for example, 1, 2, 3, and so on. It's only 1 movement to an adjacent area. Now, in case it wasn't clear, and maybe it wasn't, so I'm sorry about that, the woodwalkers can only move between one forest region to another, to an adjacent forest region. They will never be able to move onto a mountain. And of course, on the other side, the ironclad will always move between mountains and never on the forest itself. So every time that you see this kind of passage, of course, makes 2 mountain areas adjacent to each other. And also for the forest, every time that we can see this green bridge, as I like to call them when I play this game, they will be able to move from one area to an adjacent area through those green bridges. So just for the fun of it, let's say that one fighter is moving 1, 2, then 3, and 4, and we have 1 more if we wish to, and I think that we're going to make this movement. Now that I finished using this card, I'm just going to place it below the player board of the woodwalkers. Moving to the turn of the ironclad, they're going to use this card that is called Mindclash. Now here we have something pretty interesting because this is going to be an ongoing effect on this card. Don't worry, we're going to see it, of course, a little bit later, but we're going to mark 2 times this card. That means that we're going to take 2 markers and we're going to place them on the card. First time in each round where the drill is going to move, we're going to gain 1 extra crystal, and we'll be able actually to draw a special card. And if we have a combat, that is going to give us some bonuses for the dominance. Okay, I know it was a little bit of a mouthful, but don't worry, we're going to see it as we go. So right now I'm going to place the card right over here. And also I'm going to take 2 markers and I'm going to place them on the card itself. Finishing with that, we're going to move on to the Woodwalkers. And basically what we can see right now with the revision card is that it corresponds to a mountain that is called Zinco. Now, when you want to resolve something that is called discover, that means that we're going to discover a totem, but it has to correspond to a specific mountain. Now, you'll be able to do it only if the mountain that you want to discover on is not being controlled. So let's understand what does it mean to control a region. Every time that you have a region, it doesn't matter if it's a mountain or a forest, where you have at least 1 fighting unit, that area will be considered as controlled. So right now, again, just for the example, Ferum is actually controlled, but if I'm taking out this fighting unit, now this mountain does not consider to be controlled. So now you can understand that a forge alone or a drill alone or both of them together without fighting units are not considered to be fighting units, thus making this mountain uncontrolled. So let's place it back and we're going to continue. So unfortunately, since right now the Woodwalkers will not be able to discover the totem that corresponds to Zinco, we'll need to just choose another action. So the next turn of the Woodwalker, since they would like to show you already how does combat works over here, we're going to use this card that is called Alnion's Aim. Okay, let's understand what are the effects. We can move 2 and then we can attack, and if we're going to be victorious, we're going to receive 1 crystal. Okay, that sounds pretty good. First of all, we have to resolve from top to bottom, so we're going to move 2 fighters. So I think that the first fighter will move just like this, and then another one that will move to this inner forest. Now we'll be able to attack. So now we need to choose 1 warband, and we're going to attack an adjacent area. Pay attention that in general we don't have to attack with the Woodwalkers an area that contains fighting units, because it is possible to attack even an area that has only the drill. It's going to trigger a little bit of a different sequence and has some repercussions, but we're not going to talk about it right now, just for you to know that it's an option for the Woodwalkers to attack a mountain region that does not contain fighting units. So the next step, now that we concluded that there is going to be a battle over here because we have fighting units versus fighting units, the attacker, first of all, they need to decide if they're going to wage one of their cards as a combat card. So we have 3 parameters in each card for their combat status. Let's see it in a few more moments when we're going to actually resolve the combat. So I think just for the fun of it, they're going to use this card, for example. They're going to place it face down, of course. Then the defender needs to decide if they would like to use one of their combat cards. And I think that they would like to use this one. Again, it's just for the example to show you. And now we're going to flip both of the cards and we're going to resolve it. So let's flip them to the other side. And just to make it a little bit more comfortable, to be honest, I should have placed the Ironclad there and the Woodwalkers there, but it doesn't matter. So we have this card for the Woodwalkers and this card for the Ironclad. And now basically we need to start comparing some of the statuses that we have over here. So the first icon is telling us how much damage we're doing to the other party. Now, in general, for the basic fighters, they can sustain only 1 hit before they have to be removed from the board, which is something that is a little bit different for the Golem, which is the other fighting unit of the Ironclad, because they can sustain 2 hits. So since both of them have 0, that means that none of them is going to take damage. And in any case, as you can already imagine, the second icon that we have corresponds to the shield. That basically means how much damage they're going to mitigate before they're starting to take casualties. So since we don't have here anything that is causing damage, the shield is not relevant. Then we're going to go to the dominance. So each one of the fighting units is going to contribute 1 dominance to this fight. Now we're going to add the values that we can see at the lower part of this iconography. We have 8 dominance versus 5 dominance. That means that the Woodwalkers have won. After we have concluded who has won this combat, we can simply discard the cards that we used as combat cards. So that is going to go to the discard pile of both players. And now we're going to do something that is called retreat. When we're performing retreat, basically the winner of the combat may choose to force the entire defeated warband, of course if there are any that left, to retreat to an adjacent location of the same type. And the defeated warband cannot be divided. So I cannot say, okay, now this unit is going to go over here and this one is going to retreat to Ferum. They have to go as a warband. And why did I emphasize of the same type? Just to remind you, of course, that the Ironclad cannot be moved into a forest or something like that. So now the Woodwalkers need to decide where they would like to move this warband of the Ironclad. And I think they're going to decide to move all of them to this mountain. With that, we have finished the second turn of the Woodwalker. This card can now go to the bottom of the player board, as we can see, and we're going to move back to the Ironclad. Now the Ironclad would like to actually start using the card that they have played before, so they're going to move the Drill. Now the Ironclad in general is going to move in warbands, but every time it says warband, it doesn't necessarily mean that you need to move multiple fighters. You can even move one, so even just one fighter for the Ironclad is going to be considered as a warband. Now why it's important for me to say that? Because the Drill is never considered as part of the warband. That means that they will need a special effect to move the Drill. So let's see actually how the Drill is going to work. The Ironclad is going to use this basic card that is called Ilkair's Strategy, and we're going to resolve two. First, we can move one warband, then we can move the Drill, and also we can place one foundations on an outer mountain you control. Okay, so let's start actually by resolving number 2 and number 3. First of all, we're going to move the Drill. Let's see how does it go. The Drill right now is going to move to an adjacent mountain. We're going to move it to this mountain right over here that is called Obia, I'm guessing. And what happens now, since they move to a mountain that does not contain a forge, what they're going to do is to take this marker, move it one step to the right, and then they're going to take the bonuses that are written below it. In our case, they're going to take 2 crystals, but pay attention that it's not going to immediately move to their supply. It's actually moving to the cargo area of the Drill. Later, when the Drill is going to move to an area that contains a forge, then they're going to unload their cargo and they're going to add those crystals to their supply. So just in general, I mean, I never seen it happen, but it is possible that the Drill is just going to walk around the board and accumulate a lot of crystals in order to later just dump it somewhere in one of the forges. So on top of that, let's remember one moment about what we saw on this card that we played before. So the first time in each round where the Drill is going to move, you're going to gain 1 crystal and draw 1 special card. So now that we can see gain 1 crystal, we're going to take this crystal and we're going to place it in our supply. On top of that, that means that we can draw now 1 special card, and that will of course go into our hand. And basically now we finished resolving the special effect on this ongoing card, so let's place it back. Now the second effect that I would like to resolve is the place foundation on an outer mountain you control. So right now the only outer mountain that the Ironclad control is this one that is called Chromia. So we're going to take one of the tokens that we have over there and we're going to place it. Pay attention that we have 2 sides. One of them is the foundation and the other side is the forge. So let's wait with this for one moment. Let's flip this to the other side and place it just like you can see over here. And of course, this warband is going to stay as it is. Now we finished resolving this card, we can place it below the player board, and we're moving on to the last turn of the Woodwalker. So now let's talk about the next thing that we have. As you probably already guessed it, we're going to resolve this card that is called Durlan's Revelation. First, we're going to draw 1 special card. Don't mind if I do, let's place it in our hand. Then we can resolve one of the following. Either we're going to draw 1 vision card or we're going to perform Discover. So let's talk about what does Discover means, because this is the effect that I'm going to resolve. This card we can already place below our player board. And let's take the vision card and understand again what does it mean. So this vision card, and of course, any vision card that we're going to draw is going to correspond to one of the mountains that we have, and that means where we're going to discover this totem that we need in order to win the game. Basically, when you're doing Discover, of course, you need to be adjacent to it, and again, I remind you that it has to be in a mountain that is not being controlled by the Ironclad. So now what is going to happen is that we're going to take one of our totems and we're going to place it in the forest area where we discovered this totem from. In our case, of course, since this is the warband, we're going to place the totem, and again, pay attention that it has two sides. Soon we're going to understand what does it mean. We're going to place the totem on its full side, again, in this forest region. And on top of that, since this is an inner mountain, then also we're going to receive 3 crystals. So 3 crystals we're going to simply add into our own supply. With that, we have finished this turn of the woodwalkers, and we're going to move on to the last turn of the ironclad. The Ironclad would like to play the newest card that they just acquired, that is called Steady March. Here we're going to again mark this card with 2 of these markers, and every time we're going to remove one of the markers on it, we're going to move 1 warband and also move the drill. So again, soon we're going to see what does it mean. For now, let's place this card just below the player board, and also going to place on it 2 markers. The card that we just revealed, I apologize for that, we just need to place next to our discard pile when it is of course revealed to the enemy. And with that, we have concluded the action phase. Let's move on to the round end phase. So first of all, if we have any ongoing effects with one of the cards that we have played, we need to move that card to the upper part of our player board. Obviously, it is not relevant for the Woodwalker, but we are going to do that for the Ironclad. Then we're going to recover our basic cards. So all of these cards are going to join again the hand of the Woodwalker. And the same is going to happen for the Ironclad. So let's take this card and place it again in our hands. And on top of that, now if any player has more than 8 cards in their hands, and yes, it does include the basic cards, but for the Woodwalker, it does not include the vision cards. Now players will need to discard cards from their hand until they have 8, and you cannot discard one of the basic cards. After that, for the Woodwalker, they will need to fade a totem. That means that if you have totems on the main board, they will need to fade. So if it is on the full side, we're going to flip it to the not full side, to the empty side. And let's say that now again we need to fade a token. If it is already not on the full side, we're simply going to remove it and place it again in the supply of the Woodwalker. And now each side can decide if they would like to recruit fighters. Again, we're going to start with the Woodwalker since they are the first player in the turn order. So I think that just to show you how does it go, they're going to spend 2 crystals, let's place it back in the main supply, in order to recruit 1 fighter. And again, I remind you that they need to recruit it to one of the far forest on the board, the darker area. So let's take this one and place it over here. And for the Ironclad, they would like to do the same. So let's take down 2 crystals and we're going to recruit one of these fighters. Unfortunately, we have only 1 forge, so that is the only location where they would need to recruit their fighters. And with that, we have concluded the first round of Ironwood, and we're going to play another one because why not? So now let's see, starting with the preparation phase, the Woodwalkers are going to take 1 crystal, and the Ironclad are going to have 2. Let's add it just like this. Then we're going to draw 2 cards for each faction. And already I recognize my mistake that this card should have been recovered in the last round, so I apologize for that. This is now the situation that we have in our hands. And after that, we're going to remove 1 marker from each card that we have. Again, for the Woodwalkers, it's not going to be relevant, but definitely it's going to be relevant for the Ironclad faction. So 1 marker is going to be removed from here. Still doesn't mean anything to us. This card is still going to stay in play. Nothing changes, but when we're removing a marker from this card, again, let's understand what is the effect. Every time that we're going to remove a marker, we may move 1 warband, and also we can move our drill. So that is pretty cool actually. The warband that I would like to move is actually this one to this outer mountain, and the drill is going to move 1 time back to our forge. So now something interesting is going to happen. First of all, we're going to set this marker back to sort of 0, okay? We're going to reset it, and then everything that we have in our cargo is going to move to our supply. So let's take these 2 crystals to put in our supply, and just in case it wasn't clear, let me make it crystal clear, no pun intended, that every time your drill is going to move to a mountain area that contains a forge, not a mountain, not a foundation, but a forge. They're not going to advance their marker and they're going to take the bonus. They're simply going to unload that cargo. So everything that they had in that cargo is going to move to their supply. I hope it was clear, and we're going to move on to the action phase, starting again, of course, with the Woodwalker. So the Woodwalkers would like to charge a little bit towards their winning condition, and they don't want to take too much risk with this totem, so they would like to move. The first card they would like to play is this card that is called Calm Before the Storm. So first of all, we're going to draw one special card. No problem, let's place it over here. Then we can move 2. So the first unit that I would like to move, the first fighter, is this one to this inner forest. And the other fighter that I would like to move is from this region to the outer forest, but actually they will be able to carry a totem with them. So basically each fighter can carry only one totem. It's a little bit important to understand that, so we cannot move 2 totems with one fighter or something like that. And the moment that you're moving a fighter with a totem to the outer forest, you basically manage to secure it, and immediately we're going to take this totem and place it on our player board, and that means that we are that much closer to achieve victory with the Woodwalker. After that, if you have 5 or more fighters adjacent to Ferrum, then you're going to recruit 2 fighters to any outer forest. Obviously, we don't have any units that are adjacent to Ferrum, so we're going to simply ignore that. That is the first card that we played. Let's place it at the bottom of the board. And moving to the Ironclad. Now the Ironclad is definitely going to use this opportunity in order to build their forge. So we're going to use this card that is called Vendalar's Support, and we can resolve 1. We can spend 1 crystal in order to recruit a fighter to any forge and then move 1 warband, or we can spend 5 crystals to build, or we can attack. We're going to have 1 more dominance. Obviously, I think that you can guess already what I'm going to do. We have exactly 5 crystals, so all of them are going to go back to the general supply. And that means that we can now flip this token to the other side, and we have another forge. This card is going to go just below the player board of the Ironclad. And let's talk a little bit about the changes that we're going to see a little bit later in this game. First of all, that means that we have another forge to offload our cargo when we're reaching it. Another option is that now the Ironclad can recruit in this forge as well. So it really expands their options. Hopefully they will be able to take a good advantage of that. The next card I will use is Gorloin's Hunt. So we're going to this time spend 2 crystals in order to resolve both of the effects. So let's spend these 2 crystals, place them back in the main supply. First of all, we can move 5. So I'm going to move 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And now we can attack Ferrum. So let's see how does it go. First of all, this card we can simply place below the player board, and now the attacker, which is the Woodwalker, needs to choose a combat card. So let's understand what they need to think about right now. They're going to attack with these 3 fighters. Now over here we have basically 2 fighters, but pay attention that when you're attacking a forge, you're going to have already 1 damage. So each forge already gives you 1 attack. So it's not so bad. It's a little bit more dangerous right now to the Woodwalkers. And on top of that, let's remember the card that we have played in the first round that basically says that each combat we're going to have 1 more dominance, of course, for the Ironclad, if the drill is present. So before we even played cards, already 1 attack and already 1 dominance for the Ironclad. So this is something that the Woodwalkers need to pay attention to. The attacker is going to play this card, soon we're going to see it, and the defender is going to play this card right over here. So let's flip it and start comparing the different things that we have. First of all, we have 1 attack basically +0, right? Because Ironclad doesn't have an attack here at all. So that means that we're going to do 1 damage. That is actually going to be absorbed by the shield of the Woodwalkers. So no damage from Ironclad to Woodwalkers. On the other side, we have 1 attack that again is going to be absorbed by the shield of the Ironclad. So no damage is going to be there as well. And now we basically have 3 +2, right? That is 5 against 3, because we do have the drill, +4. So right now the Ironclad are the winners, and that means that they can push this warband to an adjacent forest. So basically we're going to take both of these cards and we're going to discard them to their respective players. I think what they would like to do is to push this warband to this location. Now, in general, it probably wasn't the best thing for the Woodwalkers to perform, since on the card that we played, it says that if we're going to succeed in this attack, then we're going to take half of the crystals that the Ironclad faction has. Obviously, they have 0, so not so sure what they could have gained from that, but this is just something to pay attention to. I wanted to show you another card. With that, let's move on to the next action of the Ironclad. So we're going to play this card that is called Tunneling, and it says move 1 warband and then move the drill twice. Okay, so not so bad. Let's see if we can do something cool with that. Let's move this warband to this outer mountain, and now we're going to move the drill twice. So this is 1 time. We're going to advance with this marker, and we're going to take 2 crystals to place in the cargo. And the second time will be to move to this outer mountain. So we're going to again move our marker 1 step. 1 crystal is going to be added to the cargo. On top of that, the Ironclad right now can look at the topmost vision card of the Woodwalkers and decide if they want to keep it on top. So let's take this card and see maybe what do we have. So this card corresponds to the Plumbarum. Oh my God, guys, I really apologize for that. A mountain that is situated over here. Now, on top of that, we can see another effect that basically says that we can recruit 1 fighting units of the Ironclad to the mountain area that the drill moved from. In that case, we're going to take 1 fighting unit and we're going to place it over here. Pay attention that we did not need to have a forge in this region. So now that we have finished with this card, let's place it below the player board, and we're going to move on to the last turn of the Woodwalkers. The Woodwalkers would like to play this card that is called Lurking Shadows, and it says if you control 5 or more inner forests, first of all, let's check. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and even 6, right, of this inner forest. Then we can recruit 2 fighters to any outer forest and also draw 2 cards. Okay, so don't mind if I do. Let's recruit 2 units, and I think we're going to place them. Doesn't really matter. Let's place them over here just for the fun of it. And also we can draw 2 cards. And we can see at the bottom another thing. If this card is burned, gain 1 crystal. So sometimes you're going to have cards that are going to tell you that in order to play them, you need to burn X amount of cards. In that case, if this was one of the cards that you decided to burn, you're going to receive for it 1 crystal, which is not so bad to execute sometimes. So right now, let's take this card, place it just below the player board, and moving on to the last turn of the Ironclad. The Ironclad would like to play this card again, so we're going to resolve 2. I think that first of all, we're going to move the drill just to secure it, right, with all the precious cargo that we have. So let's move it to this forge, and that means that we're going to take all of our cargo and we're going to place it in our own supply, which is not so bad to have already 3 crystals. And on top of that, we can place foundations on an outer mountain that we control. Let's take another token and place it in this location. Now that we have finished with that, we basically concluded this action phase. So we're going to move on to the round end phase. So again, we're going to move all the cards with an ongoing effect on top of the board, but it's not relevant to either one of the factions. Then we're going to recover all the base cards. So now let's not forget anything. We have 1, and also we have these 2 cards that are going to go back to the hand of the Ironclad. Then we're going to basically discard all the cards that we have into the discard pile. And then we need to discard cards if we have more than 8. After that, we're going to fade any totems which we don't have at all. And we can basically recruit at the cost of 2 crystals fighters. So right now the Woodwalkers don't have enough, and the Ironclad faction does not wish to do that. So with that we have concluded the second round of Ironwood, and you know what guys, let's take one more round just to make sure that we understand this game. So now we're going to the preparation phase. Again, it's going to be 1 crystal for the Woodwalkers and 2 crystals for the Ironclad, and after that we're going to draw 2 cards. Now you can see that they have 9, which is totally okay. They don't need to discard anything yet. And also 2 cards are going to be added to the Ironclad. After that, we need to remove markers from the cards. So look, I already forgot something, of course. When I moved the drill, I actually need to take 1 more crystal, but you know what? It's really not important, just for you to know that I forgot to do it. This marker is going to go back to the supply, and since this card does not have any more markers on it, it's going to be discarded, and the same is going to happen over here. But we're going to resolve the effect first, right? We remove the marker. Now we can move 1 warband and also move the drill. So we can already discard it, but not before we're going to execute these movements. So I think that this warband is going to move to this mountain area, and the drill is going to move to the same mountain area as well. So that means that, of course, because I forgot to reset this marker, I do apologize for that. Now that we have moved the drill, we can take this marker 1 step to the right and also take 2 crystals into our cargo. I'm really sorry about that. I hope it didn't confuse you. And now we can move on to the action phase, starting, of course, with the Woodwalkers. Now I would like to show you something that is pretty interesting, so let's see how does it go. The Woodwalkers would like to play this card that is called Canopy Cover. First of all, we're going to move 4 fighters. So this is 1 movement, this is the second movement, and let's move also 3 and 4. Those were the 4 movements. Then we're going to play on top of it a basic card. So that means that this card is giving us the possibility to play another card. And actually it means that even if on the next card we're going to have movement, I can move the same units that I just moved. Let's take an example. Let's play this basic card that will allow us to attack. So now we're going to, first of all, move 2. Now, even though it already moved in this turn, since I'm playing another card, we can move this fighter again. So this is going to be the first movement, and this is going to be the second movement. Now we can attack. So they would like to attack this area that contains not only 3 fighters from the Ironclad, but also the drill itself. Now, this card we can simply place on top of the card that we just played, just to indicate that it didn't take another space below our player board. And if we're going to win this combat, we're going to have 1 crystal. So I think it's really important for the Woodwalker to win this. Let's see how does it go. First of all, it's going to be their turn to choose a combat card. So I think just to be sure, they're going to play this one. That is kind of strong. We're going to talk about it in a second. And the Ironclad, that they don't have really good cards to play over here, they're going to try. Okay, you guys, they're going to try, and they will play this card over here. Let's flip it and see what's going to happen. First of all, we can see that we have something pretty special with this card that is called Blazing Spirit, playable only when wagered in combat. Hey, what do you know? That's exactly our situation. When wagered in combat, remove 1 fighter from your warband involved in this combat. Okay, so now we understand why this card is so strong, just because we're going to have some sort of a negative effect. So 1 fighter from this warband will have to be removed from the board, so back to our supply. But you can see that the statuses here are quite strong. Then we're going to compare the attack, and pay attention that we don't have here a forge, and also the drill doesn't have already the special effect that we've seen before. So the drill here is basically nothing. I mean, for the Ironclad, for the Woodwalkers, it's kind of sweet. So here they're going to do 4 damage and then they're going to do 2 damage. So let's start with the easy one. The Ironclad are going to do 2 damage. We don't have here any defense, so 2 fighters from the Woodwalkers are going to be removed. But here we have 4 damage. So 1, 2, and 3 units from the Ironclad. These 3 fighters are going to be removed as well. And now, since we don't have any more fighting units in this location, we don't need to look for dominance. That is going to be an immediate victory. Now, let's see what does it mean. First of all, we won this combat, so 1 crystal we're going to have. That's already a good start. Now, when the Woodwalkers are attacking and they want a combat and we have the drill in it, then basically what happens is that the drill is being sort of destroyed. So they will be able to steal 1 crystal from the drill. So from the cargo, we're going to take this crystal and we're going to place it in the supply of the Woodwalkers. All the other crystals that the drill had are going to be discarded, so back to the main supply. And now the drill is going to be removed from this location and it's going to be replaced in the, I like to call it the capital, to be honest with you, I don't know why. So back into Ferrum. So these 2 combat cards are going to be discarded, and that was the first turn of the Woodwalkers, and now the Ironclad need to see how they're going to recover from this. Okay, so their card is going to be this one that is called Makeshift Golem. That is where we're going to see the other fighting unit. Remove 1 fighter and recruit 1 golem to the same warband. So I think I'm going to choose this warband right over here. Let's take out 1 of the fighter in order to bring into this game for the first time 1 of these golems. Now a golem is operating a little bit like a fighter but has some bonuses. First of all, it takes 2 damage in order to kill this golem, and on top of that, they're going to contribute immediately 1 attack when we're going to have a fight. Now we can move 1 warband. I think we're going to merge both of these, and let's move these 2 fighters to this area. Now we can take this card and place it below our player board, and moving on to the next turn of the Woodwalker. The Woodwalkers need a little bit of a purpose, right? And they cannot have a purpose unless they have 1 of the vision cards. So we're going to take this card that is called Revelations, and we're going to resolve it. First of all, gain 1 crystal. So, I mean, that's always a good start, right? And then we can draw 2 of these vision cards, but we have to burn 1. Now pay attention that you do not have to burn 1 of the cards that you just drew. Obviously, it's going to be our case, but if the Woodwalker had more vision cards in their hands, they can burn any one of them. So let's take 2 vision cards, and 1 of them we're simply going to discard. First of all, this card we can place just below our player board. And now let's see what are the 2 areas that we have with these vision cards. The first one, what a surprise, is the card that I least wanted to pronounce, Plumbarum. Guys, I know you're going to make fun of me, but it's okay. I have no other choice. And the other one is Chromia. So Chromia, we already know that it's in this region, right? And pay attention that right now, this mountain is not being controlled, because having a forge does not mean that you're controlling a mountain. So I think, you know what, I'm not sure it's because it's a strategy-wise better, or I just don't want to pronounce this name. This card I'm going to burn, so that means that we're going to discard it, but pay attention that we're going to discard it face down. So we can place it over here, and this card again is hidden from our enemy, right from the Ironclad. Let's place it in this location. Now that we have finished with the Woodwalker, let's move on to the Ironclad and see what they would like to do. Now the Ironclad that actually knew what was the first card in this pile, now that they saw that the Woodwalker took 1 card, they just don't know which one, are a little bit afraid. So they're going to play this card that is called Heavy Infantry. First of all, they're going to draw 1 special card. So let's take it and place it in their hands. Then they're going to attack. They're going to try and attack this warband of the Woodwalker. And now they need to choose a combat card. We do have over here an equal amount of dominance, right? 3 versus 3. So either they're going to take 1 card that has a lot of dominance, or they're going to try and do damage. I think they're going to try and risk it a little bit. and play this card as a combat card. Soon we're going to see what does it mean. And the Woodwalkers, knowingly that they're doing the wrong decision, they just want to show you some stuff, are going to play this combat card. So let's flip it and see what it means. Again, you guys, I'm flipping, like I'm changing the position of the cards just so we can have the effects like next to each other, you know, okay? I hope it makes sense to you. So let's start. Both of them are doing 3 damage. So for the Ironclad, it's going to be super easy. And in case it wasn't clear until now, the attacker is the one that is choosing how to assign the damage. So for the Ironclad, they're going to move 1, 2, and 3. Those are going to be removed. And for the Woodwalker, they're going to apply 2 damage to the Golem. And there is left 1 damage. They're going to take this one from here. So these 2 units are going to go back to the supply of the Ironclad. And now, of course, since we have in this combat only 1 unit of the Ironclad, no need to look for dominance. It's obvious who won over here. So the Ironclad are the winners. And we also remember that on the card that we played, I don't know why I placed it in the discard, I apologize for that. We saw that if we're going to gain victory, then we're going to receive 2 crystals. Okay, so 2 crystals we're going to have in our supply. So this card, of course, go below the player board. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have placed it in the discard. These 2 cards are going to be placed in the discard piles. Now it's time for the Woodwalkers to play. So they would like to discover. Let's play this card again. So first of all, we're going to draw 1 special card. No problem at all. And on top of that, we're going to resolve 1, either to draw or to discover. We're going to go with discover. So let's take this card and now not make this mistake, place it below our player board. Then we're going to take the vision card that we have, we're going to reveal it to our enemy faction, right? And we're going to reveal the totem. So obviously the only fighter that I could have done it with, the only warband, is the one that is situated here, since it is the only fighter that is adjacent to this region that is situated in an inner forest. So now what we're going to do is to take one of these totems and place them over here. This card we can simply leave a face up that is, of course, visible to our opponent. And with that, we have finished playing for the Woodwalkers, moving back to the Ironclad. I hope you know what they're going to do already to play this card again that we've seen before. So we're going to resolve 1, and that will be to spend 5 crystals. We have here a bit more, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. They're going to go to the main supply in order to build. So now that we want to build, we're going to look into the foundations that we have. We still control this area, so we're going to flip this token to the other side, and we have a second forge. The Ironclad are only 1 step further away from total victory. This card is going to go below the player board of the Ironclad, and we have concluded this action phase. So now again we're going to resolve our sequence. First of all, we're going to take back all the base cards that we have. All the other cards we can simply discard to the respective discard decks. Then if we have more than 8 cards, we'll need to discard. Obviously, neither one of the factions have more than 8 cards. Then we'll need to fade the totems. So we do have over here a totem on the full side. We'll have to fade it by flipping it to the other side. And then either side can recruit fighters. Of course, starting with a Woodwalker, they are first in turn order. So I think they're going to push for it. They're going to take 4 crystals from their supply to the main supply, and they're going to recruit 2 fighters where they would like. I think we have to strengthen a little bit, maybe this side of the map. Let's recruit 2 fighters in this outer forest. The Ironclad decided they would not like to recruit anyone since they do need their crystals. As you've seen, it's really expensive unless you have a special card. It's really expensive to build one of these forges. So with that, we have finished our round end phase. And with that, guys, I think that we're going to stop the playthrough here. I hope that you understand how the game goes. Obviously, I mean, since the Woodwalker are going to be the first player in the next round, they're going to immediately move this fighter with his totems to secure a second one. And that means means that everything is going to be very close called in the 4th or maybe in the 5th round. So thank you very much for watching. I truly appreciate it. I hope that you learned something new or saw something that you like. If that is the case, consider subscribing to the channel, liking and commenting on the video. Those are all absolutely free things that you can do that are going to help me a lot. Thank you again, take care, and I'll see you next time.